음. those times and the dreams we left behind. I'll be glad 'cause I was blessed to get to have you in my life. When I look back on these days, I look and see your face. You were right there for me. In my dreams I always see you soaring on the sky. In my
Good afternoon, everybody. Graduates, would you please remain standing? This is a wonderful Kodak moment. For those graduates that don't know what that is, a Kodak is a camera. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Darryl Bowers, and I'm very pleased to be with you this afternoon. Would everyone please have a seat? As I said, my name is Darryl Bowers. I'm the Director of IDEA, and I'm very, very happy to be with you this afternoon. I was scheduled to leave Juneau this morning at 7:30, and the flight was delayed about 4.5 hours. And when I finally landed and got my rental car, it was about 10 after 1 from the airport, but I managed to make it, and fortunately, there weren't too many law enforcement people on the roads between here in Anchorage. We have about 500 seniors in IDEA this year, and 42 are on the stage here with us today in the MatSu Valley, and we are going to give them their diplomas today. They'll turn their tassels and move from being young men and women to adults. Before we get started, I would like to introduce our first student performer. Her name is Hannah Fontecchia. She's going to be performing Musio Clementa Sonata, Opus 36, number 1, third movement. Hannah? Thank you, Hannah. We're pleased to have as our guest speaker this year, Talis Kohlberg. Dr. Excuse me, gosh. It's a funny thing to show up with your clothes in a bag, running across the parking lot and throwing on clothes with my wife screaming at me 3 times, check your zipper, check your zipper, check your zipper. And now I have to try to present myself as distinguished. I would like to introduce Dr. Talis Kohlberg. He's the director of Matanuska Susitna College. Chancellor Fran Ulmer appointed Dr. Kohlberg as the 10th director of MatSu College in August of 2010. Talis is a third-generation Alaskan born in the territory of Alaska in 1958. He graduated from Palmer High School in 1976, Pacific Lutheran University in 1979, and Pepperdine University School of Law in 1983. He earned a PhD in Northern Political History and Culture from the University of Alaska Fairbanks in 2008. Governor Palin appointed him as the 20th Attorney General for Alaska in 2006. He has also been twice elected to the Matanuska Susitna Borough Assembly and twice elected as Borough Mayor. He has been president of the Alaska State Fair Board, chair of the Alaska Humanities Forum, a member of the Alaska Sea Life Center Board, and serves on the Alaska State Historical Commission. In 2015, Governor Walker presented Dr. Kohlberg with Alaska's Distinguished Service to the Humanities Award. He has been a history instructor at the college since 1992. Please welcome with me Dr. Talis Kohlberg.
It is a cultural phenomena in our country where the class is graduating and they have a speaker who they probably have no idea who he is or why he or she is there. I guess the only connection I could start to make is that about 43 years ago this week, I graduated about 5 miles from here from high school, Palmer High School. It was a much smaller place. And from my perspective, the road to the rest of the world was really the road through Glen Ellen because I had grown up before there was a Parks Highway. And from my point of view, that led to things that could only be imagined, which was proven on a trip my dad took us on as a family in the late 1960s. 7-day drive to California, 3 days in Southern California, including 1 day in Disneyland and 7 days back. It was a long ways to go. We didn't fly that often then. I was left with something that I think is important for every graduation ceremony, and that's speakers will always tell you, pursue your dreams, and what your dreams are really your interests. And what you're struggling against is what people who are well-intentioned for you often have dreams for you, interests for you, plans for you, and you yourself will fall into that pattern soon enough. But it's important to figure out for yourself what that is. And the first time I had a dream, I learned the hardship of sometimes it's hard to let go of dreams, and that was Disneyland itself was something that didn't just go away. My dad took us on a camping trip to Chittenden in the early 1970s, and I thought, this is it. It was a sunny July day. It was hot. There was like what would look like an old west town of sorts, a little bigger than it is today. And I was determined to relocate Disneyland to Chittenden, Alaska. So I took pictures with a Kodak, as he described, and I took a big chart, and I made a map of Chittenden where the rides from Disneyland should be relocated, and I wrote a 6-page letter explaining in detail why it was a good business decision because people from Anchorage definitely would drive to Chittenden to go to Disneyland. What came out of it was this actual letter, which I've kept for half a century, addressed to me. Dear Mr. Kohlberg, I was very happy to be called Mr. at that age. Thanks so much for your recent letter and for your generous comments regarding the Disney organization and your interest in associating us with a small Alaskan mining town. While we are certainly complimented by your interest, I'm afraid that our company has devoted all of its efforts to another project in Florida. Because of this, we would not be able to be in a position to pursue the suggestions you have made. Let me add a personal note and tell you how much we enjoyed the pictures. Very sincerely yours, Obertius. As a kid, I did not see that as the brush-off that it was, but they're coming later. I never really got over the idea that they didn't arrive. And I went to work on a project to recreate Disneyland, modestly renamed Kohlbergland at that point. On a 4-by-8-foot sheet of plywood, I drilled holes in the bottom for Christmas lights, built a monorail of McDonald's straws and palm trees out of pipe cleaners, and I won a prize at the fair, and then I didn't know what to do with it. My brother took it and blew it up with firecrackers. I'll get back to the ending of that story and its finale, but I'd like to then shift over to a second story. If you look at your program, my first name is ambiguous in terms of gender, and if you have not seen me, it's been statistically more or less true that half of the people assume the word Tallis is female, half assume it's male. And it led to, as a boy, some consternation on my part to get letters addressed to Ms. And so I started to pompously put my full middle name, Tallis James Kohlberg, because then people wouldn't mix it up. And that struck people in an odd way too. But it actually played in my favor because not only is it important to pursue your dreams, it's important to put yourself in the mix, to apply for things. It will be surprising to you perhaps to learn eventually that many people have ambitions to pursue something but don't try. And it's that absence of putting your hat in the ring that makes all the difference in the world because you've suddenly become a contender. And what happened in high school in Palmer was someone said, there's an internship with Senator Ted Stevens. You can apply for it. And I talked to the counselor, and the counselor said, well, no one's gotten it here before, but go ahead. And so I thought, why not? I came back from a track meet from Kenai, and there was a telegram in my locker. At that point in my life, I'd never received a telegram, and I associated it from the movies with death. So I picked it up rather nervously, opened it up, and I bypassed, because I was so used to it, it was addressed to Ms. Tallis Kohlberg, and it said Senator Stevens had selected me to be part of his intern program. Great. A few months later, I'm landing at the airport in Washington, D.C., And in those days, before 9/11, people would mill around, and the area kind of emptied out, and it was me and one other person standing there. And I knew I was supposed to be met by someone. And finally, the fellow looks at me and says, "Is your name Tallis?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, we thought you were a girl. We had planned an even number, but it's okay." What I've learned is mistakes sometimes work in your favor. You can't anticipate them, but take them and go with them. And so putting yourself in the mix sometimes works out, sometimes it doesn't. I collect rejection letters. I have 2 binders full at home, and I look at them periodically to remind myself it doesn't always work out, but when it does, you can think back. You don't give up when something goes sideways, and you take advantage of the opportunities you aren't expecting. This leads me to my third story for you, so it's almost over. When I was building Disneyland or Kohlbergland or trying to become an intern, my social life slid, and I really had trouble engaging in meeting women. And so it was really not until law school that I got with the program. And in law school, I had a roommate who said, "Let's go on the London program." And again, when I had been in Palmer all my life, I thought, the road out toward Glen Ellen leads to all kinds of options. And this was the ultimate option. I got on the plane from Palmer, Alaska in 1981 and flew to London to be part of the Pepperdine Law School London program. I landed there. It was about as an exotic change as you can imagine at that point in my life, to go from here to a place where suddenly everyone on the street looked like they were out of a Star Wars bar. Every turban and outfit you could imagine, the horse's lifeguard walking down the street in uniform, and the first thing that caught my eye at the Waterloo station was the French Foreign Legion recruiting poster. I kept that in the back of my head. The second thing that caught my eye was the woman serving me breakfast in the hotel we were using as our dorm. I fell in love, and I realized because I'm a continent away from this person under normal circumstances, there's not much downside to embarrassing myself. I can retreat to Alaska. So one thing led to another, and 4 months later, I decided the semester was ending. I needed to push this to a conclusion. So I cleverly came up with a plan that no one else agrees was clever in retrospect. I bought a ring, took her for a walk in Hyde Park by the Serpentine Lake, and tried to say to her that would you marry me? And by having the ring, assumed that would be such great pressure that she would have no other answer, but she had a different answer. She looks at me and says, "That's a very important question. I have to think about something like that." And I said, "I'm leaving back to law school tomorrow." This is how much time I had in my head. In my mind, marriage meant instantly and you could travel. There's a lot more to it than that. There's an immigration law. And so I basically wasn't getting the yes or no I wanted. I said, "I need an answer now." She said, "That's ridiculous. I can't give you an answer like that without thinking about it. Can at least try on the ring." And so in one of those spontaneous moments of instant decision making, I said, "If you can't give me a straight answer, yes or no right now, I just can't let you try on the ring," and I threw it in the lake. Yes, it's the woman who did that. She got mad. I thought it was over. I flew back to law school in California the next day, and in the flight back, I wrote 3 letters and mailed them. I went to the dean the day after that. I said, "If I withdraw from school, can I come back in?" He said, "Well, it'll goof up your sequence of classes, but sure." I flew back 5 days later with the tuition refund I got, which ate up all my money. My mother's advice was, "Don't do anything rash. If you do, I won't give you money if you need it." My father was, "I want to tell you something," and I hung up on him. He said I'd never done that before. The only support I was getting was from 2 people. I had a romantic grandfather, an immigrant from the old world. He said, "Grandson, go for her." And then the other advice I was getting was my roommate in law school, who has questionable judgment because although he became a congressman and the governor of Illinois, he's also now in federal prison for corruption. He said, "You have to seize the opportunity." With those 2 bases of support, I flew back, knocked on her door, and one of her roommates answered and said, "Uh-oh," and she called Christina to the door, and Christina looked at me and said, "Okay, I'll marry you." We're still together almost 40 years later. The point of that story is not only that I like to tell that story, except when I'm around her because she doesn't like to hear it over and over again, and not that I just got the girl, but the point of the story is sometimes it's not just a matter of throwing your hat in the ring to try something. There are times when a calculated gamble is necessary. There is a downside. Had that not worked out, the backup plan was to join the Foreign Legion, and that wouldn't have worked out well. I can't see 10 feet beyond this podium without my contact lenses, and I'm sure I'd be somewhere in a swamp with my ring that probably got dropped by a duck somewhere. So my message to you is, yes, there's something more to life than Palmer, Alaska, and for some of us, after you see the places in the world, and I have been a lot of really, really interesting places, you also learn that Palmer, Alaska is a pretty good place to come back to. Some of you won't, some of you will. But I encourage all of you to just remember that it's important to try things, to take time to pursue your interests. Sometimes it won't work out. Put yourself in the arena, try to be a contender, take some reasonable risks, and always save a little extra money for the second ring. I wish you well.
Good afternoon. Well, that's probably the most humorous graduation speech I've ever heard, and he wove marriage into it, which is really interesting. My name is Janice Haberman. I am the Assistant Director of IDEA, and I have the honor of introducing our second performance by a student this afternoon. Bailey Cara Titano will be dancing Pas de Trois de Odalisque from Les Corsaires.
Thank you very much, Bailey. It is time for the presentation of the diplomas. How many parents tonight, by the way, are going to be empty nesters after this ceremony tonight? We're especially excited, some of you, we're especially excited for you, for this next chapter of your life. In IDEA, we do things a little bit differently. Because we're a homeschool program, we allow our parents to present the diplomas. And we are going to give out our diplomas alphabetically. And so if your student happens to be Alexis Allen, you want to file down here. And if you've got one with the last name in the B's or C's, you'll want to make your way down here to stage left. And as we call your student's name, you can come up on the stage. We'll hand you the diploma, and then you can present the diploma to your student. So without further ado, we'll have our A parents get down here. And as soon as we're ready, we will start calling names.
Idaho Amstadt Spingstum. Michael Basiliga. Selena Brotzman. Winter Carney. Abigail Carr.
Hello. Oh, I just want to say thank you to my family and friends, and thanks, Mom, for always being there for me, and thanks, Peyton, for being a real one.
Jamie Darnell. Jacqueline Desanya. Liberty Donovan. Delina Elliott.
I just want to say thank you to my mom and my dad and my sisters.
Maria Iman. Hannah Fontecchio, UA Scholar.
I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who has helped me and taught me along the way, especially my parents.
Ethan Forbes.
I would like to say thank you to the Wolf family, because without them I wouldn't be standing up here today, and thank you for Gresha and David Wolf for being the greatest parents I could ever wish for.
Courtney Gordon. Olivia Greenwood. Emily Hale.
First, I would like to thank the Lord for being my friend all my life, and thank my mom and dad and my family. I love you guys.
Ethan Hazen.
I'd like to thank my family for getting me up to this point, and I love them.
Nina Keys. Grayson Kuntz. Hannah Kosterman. Abigail Lashley. Evan Lights. Hosanna Lovejoy.
Hi. So I want to say thank you to my mom, my stepdad, and my family and friends who made it, and people watching live stream.
Raphael Mata Rukavishnikov. Autumn Michaels. Calliana Miller. Jade Moore.
Excellent job.
Jasmine Moyer.
Mom and Dad, from calming me down by reminding me to breathe, to comfort me with the all too familiar words, if you're going to be stupid, you better be tough. I want to thank you for not only giving me the pages to write this next chapter of my life, but also the pen and the ink. Thank you.
Brittany Partridge.
You guys get one together and then we'll jump in. All right. You want to get up there too? You should get up there too. Okay.
Andrew Piggies. Ireland Perkins.
I just want to say thank you to my friends and family who have made my high school years quite the adventure, to say the least. And to my fellow graduates, we made it!
Zoe Piper. Alexa Portney.
I just want to thank my parents and my grandparents for supporting me and helping me get to this point.
Sky Reimers.
I just want to say thank you to everyone that has helped push me to succeed, especially my parents.
Kayla Suter. Dylan Short. Abigail Strode. Bailey Cara Titano. Tevin Van Blaricum. Emma Mae Van Borg. Picture? Jacob Vest. Lindsay West.
I just want to say thank you to my wild, wonderful family. If it wasn't for all of you guys, I wouldn't be standing here today.
Picture? Erica Wilmez. Sarah Winter. And our final graduate this afternoon, David Wolf.
Okay, is there anyone who does not have a diploma at this point? Perfect, we've done our jobs. Before we go on to the turning of the tassels, I want to publicly thank someone. These graduations take a lot of time and planning and coordination, hours and hours, days and days, weeks and weeks. Barb Loshes has been the MatSu graduation coordinator for years, and she does an excellent job. Barb, would you please come up on the stage? Thank you, Barb. Okay, the first thing I would like to do is invite the graduates to stand. Another Kodak moment. Are you ready to make the transition to adulthood? Okay, all right, let's do it. Graduates, will you please move your tassels? We'd like everyone to stay afterwards. We've got some refreshments in the lobby, so please stick around. It's a great time for pictures and friends. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the IDEA graduating class of 2019. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Please join us in the lobby.
Good afternoon, everybody. There are 2 exits, both left and right of the theater. If you'd like to try this side, it'll speed up your departure. Awesome. Thanks for coming. Enjoy the reception out in the lobby.